Is Disneyland still worth going to if you're pregnant? How many rides can you even ride? What about infants? Are there any options? Just a few things I had to consider on my last few trips to the park, so if you're looking for information about the rides, I hope this will help guide you. I'll also make a super quick short video if that's better to go over the rides quicker. Now, I do not live close to Anaheim. I'm actually an 8-hour drive away, which honestly isn't that bad. A lot of the time before pregnancy and a baby, we would fly down to Long Beach Airport in the morning. That was roughly a 45-minute flight. The hotels would usually check us in early for a small fee. I think at most we paid like $25 and then we'd head to the park. We can't really do that now because there is just so much to bring. I guess if you'd like to know what I did bring on this last trip and what was actually useful for an infant at the park, let me know. I can do that too. But today, right now, I'm talking about rides. All rides and every ride at Disneyland and DCA parks. Is there any advisories for expectant mothers? What about height requirements? What I'm going to do in this video is give a walkthrough of the rides at Disneyland, going through each one land by land, letting you know if it's not recommended to ride while pregnant, and if it's a ride that an infant can do or not. I'll also let you know just a little bit about the ride because there are some for an infant that I would not be comfortable holding my son on. My husband was just fine doing it, but I was not. Now, if you're at the park and you need this information or want to know what I'm looking at in terms of what is recommended to ride or not, if you go onto the Disneyland app, I'm sure this probably also works for the Disney World app as well, but make sure you are at the map and click the filter at the top corner. Scroll down to the physical conditions and select expectant mother advisory, then hit apply. This will pull the rides that Disney advises that you not ride if you're pregnant. These rides will almost be the same for infants as well, but another way to see that is to go onto the tip board, and while scrolling, you'll see if a ride has a height requirement or if it allows any height. Around the park will also be ride listings showing wait times, and they will also provide height requirements, if any. Just a quick note, not every ride will let you do this, but some rides will let you walk through the queue with their stroller. I had to do this with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and once you get through the ride, the cast member will take the stroller and have it waiting at the exit. Like I said, not every ride will do this, but it is an option for some. Another thing is, depending on your goals with the parks, having 1 or 2 days at Disneyland and getting Park Hopper may be a better option. This is what I'm suggesting we do when we go back to LA in a few months, since many of the rides still won't be an option, and my husband doesn't like to ride alone. I do personally think that one day with Park Hopper, we could knock out the rides that are important to us that do not have a height requirement. So it would be ideal to evaluate the rides that are important to you to get an idea of how long you need at the park. Now, before I get into these, I'm just going to say I'm not going to debate anyone. If you still want to ride the rides that are recommended against, that is your choice. I am not picking these are advised by the park. If you want to try arguing, well, I rode blah 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 while pregnant and I'm just fine, good for you. I don't care. It is up to each individual person what they are willing to risk. Anyway, Disneyland rides. Disneyland is going to be where the majority of the rides that are safe will be. This is where you will have Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Galaxy's Edge, Toontown, and more. Depending on when you go, Disneyland does get very crowded. Now, it's always going to be busy, but I made the mistake of going in March when you never know who is on spring break, so sometimes it is hard to move. When it gets like that, in all honesty, it is not worth waiting for the rides, and stroller parking is going to be a nightmare. There is not a lot of entertainment options in Disneyland. They stopped showing The Lion King at Fantasyland Theater, and so far there isn't a show there unless there is some sort of event or character meeting. But the Royal Theater does have storytelling a few times during the day, retelling scenes from Beauty and the Beast or Tangled, where you can meet the characters after. You can also catch live performances such as the Dapper Dans in Main Street, the Bootstrappers, a singing, dancing pirate group in New Orleans Square, the First Order searching for the Resistance in Galaxy's Edge, parades or cavalcades, and fireworks. Disneyland is also going to be the place where you will have the most options for photos and character interactions and meetings. Outside of these options, Disneyland is going to be about the food and shopping. Now let's get to the rides. Main Street USA. I debated mentioning these, but I might as well. The horse-drawn streetcar, the omnibus, the jitney, the fire engine, the train, and while not on Main Street, the monorail as well. All of these are perfectly fine to ride. Basically, if it's meant to transport you from one area of the park to another, it's going to be fine to ride pregnant or with an infant. The Main Street vehicles are not going to let you take the stroller on, so that's something to consider if you're trying to ride to get to another location of the park. The train and the monorail monorail will let you, but your child has to be out of the stroller, and I believe the stroller has to be folded up. Just a quick note, when I rode the monorail, I want to say March of last year, it was miserably hot. We opened the windows and it just did not help. And it wasn't just me being pregnant, everyone else was hot as well. I have not ridden the Main Street vehicles, but the train is pretty fun. You get to see some of the rides and it has its own features as well. Main Street will probably be the easiest place to get on, and that's where most of the people are going to get off the train, but 3 of the other lands have stops as well. Tomorrowland, Toontown, and I believe the New Orleans Square one is back open as well. Tomorrowland has 6 total rides, not including the Disneyland Railroad stop or the monorail stop. Of the 6 rides, 3 are considered safe to ride for both infants and during pregnancy. The other 3 are recommended against and have height requirements. Of the 3 that are safe, first is the Astro Orbiter. This is right at the front of Tomorrowland and is a ride that spins around while you can control going up or down. For the most part, there are no advisories or warnings against it. Then we have Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, a ride I have not and will not ride. This is one where you enter a small submarine, you are seated in a small space, and it is closed in. It is a slow ride that is partially underwater. Last ride that is considered safe, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. This ride is a shooting gallery attraction that moves very slowly and spins by your control. Using the spin control wasn't an option for me, as one arm was holding the baby and the other was holding the blaster, but you'll do just fine without it if you're holding a baby as well. I rode this one both while pregnant and while holding an infant, and I still beat everyone in my party. This ride honestly has a special place in my heart because I love the 2000 cartoon Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. I will always recommend this ride. As for the rides that are advised against, first is Star Tours, The Adventure Continues. This is a 3D ride with intense motion and jerks. Height requirement is 40 inches or 102 centimeters, but it does say that it has ride switch options. A very fun one, but very advised against, is Space Mountain. This is a family-friendly indoor roller coaster. You're not going to be going upside down on this one, but there are plenty of small drops and lots of jerky motions. This does offer a rider switch option or a single rider option. Height requirement is 40 inches or 102 centimeters as well. Last is Autopia, a slow track ride. Height requirement is 32 inches or 81 centimeters. This has sudden stops, jerky motions, and rapid acceleration, but it does say that it has a ride switch option as well. All 3 have warnings for those with high blood pressure, heart, back, or neck problems, motion sickness, and some additional concerns. Fantasyland. Almost everything in Fantasyland is fine for both infants and for those who are pregnant. It's actually easier to say what isn't allowed. Out of the 12 rides, only 1 is not recommended to ride while pregnant and has a height requirement. That ride is Matterhorn bobsleds, same as Space Mountain with fast turns and plenty of small drops and jerky motions, same safety warnings, and a single rider and ride switch option. The rest of the rides are safe to ride, but one thing to know about Fantasyland, it gets super busy. Most, not all, of the rides will have on average a 30+ minute line. It also gets very hard to walk through, even harder when pushing a stroller because there is just so many people, plus there will be quite a bit of characters that just walk by in this land. This does cause people to stop and crowd, making movement even harder. My recommendation for this land is knock it out early. We do this every single time because we want to do our best to avoid walking through it during the day. Our schedule will be something like arrive by 8 when the park opens, hopefully actually be in the park no later than 8:15. Go straight to Fantasyland and just get on every ride that we can before 9 to 9:20 and then have breakfast by that time. For the most part, each ride is going to be roughly a 5 to 10 minute wait. If not a walk-on, the only one you're most likely not going to be able to do is Peter Pan, and we'll talk about that one soon. Anyway, just a quick run through of the safe rides. It's a Small World, which is a slow indoor water ride. The temperature inside can be pretty cool and the ride is fairly long, so just be aware. Storybook Land Canal Boats, another slow water ride, but unlike Small World, this one is outside. Mad Tea Party, which is an outdoor ride with a cup spin. Of course, you do not have to spin if you do not want. Alice in Wonderland, one of the slow dark rides that tells the story of the movie. This one is kind of hidden on the side of Fantasyland. I mentioned this one in the last video. It is indoors and outdoors, steadily inclining up and slowly going down. The colors inside are very vibrant. They held my son's attention, but once outside, he did not care. This ride is fun, but like most Fantasyland rides, the line gets very long. If it rains, it does shut down. Dumbo, the flying elephant, similar to Astro Blasters, this spins around while you control whether your elephant goes up or down. Casey Jr. Circus Train, I'll be honest, I haven't ridden this one, nor do I want to, and boy do I hope my kid doesn't want to either. This ride is done up like a circus train. You have different options for carts, and it's pretty much the storybook Land Canal boats, just as a train. King Arthur Carousel is right in the center and will be the first thing you see as you pass through the castle. And sometimes there will be characters that will join you on riding it. These last few are all slow, dark rides. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, while safe, there is the potential that it can be scary. I don't want to spoil the end of this ride, but when we took my mother-in-law in it, she came out of the ride seriously questioning, did we really just go there? And we were like, yeah, that's how it goes. Pinocchio's Daring Journey, not surprising to anyone who has seen the film, but for anyone like my husband who hasn't, after riding, you'll be really questioning the film. Safe to ride, but just as a note, if you're in the front of the ride, the whale scene is a little bit more intense than the back. I will say it is a very dark ride and one my son did not care about at all. My favorite of Fantasyland, Snow White's Enchanted Wish, formerly Snow White's Scary Adventure. It was updated not that long ago. This is one where my son was very focused on plenty of colors and lights with a couple of moments that could be considered scary for some. Lastly, Peter Pan's Flight. This is the one. This one. If you get there early, this is the first one that you should jump on because the line for this ride is always unreasonable. I watched the map one time back home, and as soon as the park opened, the wait was 30 minutes while the other rides were around 5 minutes. An hour and a half later, the ride was still 30 minutes, and the next longest one near it was Snow White at 15 minutes, so still much shorter. This is a great ride. The track is not on the floor, it's above, so it's like the ship is floating. This is not an intense ride, but it does have some surprisingly big dips. Now, I did not get on this ride with my son this trip as the line was just too long, but from what I remember, it is really dark, so I do think it would have gone the same way as Pinocchio, where he just didn't care as he couldn't see much. Mickey's Toontown. This is another one like Fantasyland where it gets very crowded, so I do try to knock it out early, so Fantasyland first, eat, then Toontown. It doesn't always work like that, but 2 out of the 3 rides in Toontown do have lightning lanes, so we do utilize that. Toontown does have characters who walk around, as well as meeting areas and play areas for kids to run around and interact with. Right now, we do not stay there long, but I know later, once our child is older, we will probably be here a lot more. Now, in Toontown, you have Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. This is a slow, dark ride, and the vehicle does spin slowly. I did not ride this one this time, but it is loud and very colorful. For the most part, the queue for this ride is quite long and it is very deceptive. It is well hidden, so when you walk in and you can't see the line, it's easy to think that it is much shorter than it is. Don't trust it. If the line says 15-minute wait, it's going to be around that. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This is a slow, dark, trackless ride, and for the most part, the line is pretty reasonable. It can get up to 40 plus minutes, but throughout the day, it will fluctuate. The queue is really cute. I actually really want to go through the standby queue more, even though we do use the lightning lane, but it always depends on the wait. Now, this is one I will warn you on. The last time I went on this ride before this trip, I was pregnant and there was a family behind us, a mom, dad, and a baby. I'm glad they were behind us because I wouldn't have thought to remember this. The ride is very jerky, not the whole ride, but the big one is during Daisy's part. It emulates dancing and it is very shaky. There are some other parts as well, but the mom behind me was saying how she wished she knew the ride was like that, so that way she could have planned a little bit better. When we did it with my son, I had my husband hold him as I was not comfortable doing so. If it had just been me, I would have put him in a carrier. Overall though, this ride is great and very colorful. The last ride in Toontown, Chip 'n Dale Gadget Coaster. This is a short family coaster towards the back of Toontown with a height requirement of 35 inches or 89 centimeters. Now, when you use the filter, this does not show up, but when I was there pregnant, it was advised against, and if you open the ride's information, it does say expectant mothers should not ride this. I personally think it's an error on the map, so ride this one at your own risk. Before I get into the rest of the lands, I just want to mention that there are a few different rides that take place on Rivers of America, which is in the middle of these last few lands. There's Davy Crockett's Explorer Canoes where you paddle around the river. This does say any height, but I would be hesitant to take a baby on it. The rafts to Tom Sawyer Island, which is in the middle of the river, the sailing ship Columbia, which is the pirate ship, and finally Mark Twain Riverboat, all safe to get on. Frontierland. Excluding the ship and riverboat, there is only one ride in Frontierland, and it is a ride that is advised against. That ride is the wildest ride in the wilderness, Big Thunder Mountain. With a height requirement of 40 inches or 102 centimeters, this ride is not advised for those who are pregnant. Super fun ride, but has all the warnings, so utilize the ride switch if this is one you want to ride but have an infant. Adventureland. 2 rides, one that is safe, one that is not. Jungle Cruise is good to go for infants or those who are pregnant. I did take my son on this one, and let's be honest here, he did not care. This is one where the line can get very long. The queue also does go up and down the stairs, so be aware of that. Indiana Jones Adventure is advised against and has a height requirement of 46 inches or 117 centimeters. This ride is imitating a vehicle driving in a bumpy cave, so yeah, it's incredibly bumpy with abrupt stops. The queue in this one also does go up and down the stairs and can get incredibly long. If you do Lightning Lane, try to get this one early. I'll usually reserve this one in the morning before breakfast while we're knocking out Fantasyland because there won't be availability until around 1 to 3 p.m. New Orleans Square. This land has 2 rides. Both are considered safe for those who are pregnant and for infants. Pirates of the Caribbean is the first one. It does have 2 drops, but the tallest drop is roughly 15 feet. For comparison, Tiana's Bayou Adventure is a 50-foot drop. I did not feel comfortable holding my son on this one due to the drops, but my husband did, and he did just fine. It is very dark, but it still held his attention pretty well. Then there is the Haunted Mansion, a slow track dark ride. This one, I don't remember if it held his attention or not, but we love this ride, so we'll always ride it. Depending on your child, some moments could be a little scary. Bayou Country, previously Critter Country. 2 rides in this land as well, one safe, one not. First is the newest themed ride, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, formerly Splash Mountain. Pretty self-explanatory with this one, it's a big drop. Then there's the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. This one was a big hit with my son. All the colors really captured his attention, and he was looking at everything. Of all the rides, this is the one I would ride over and over again for him. Last in Disneyland is Galaxy's Edge, the land where both the rides in there are not rideable for either infants or those who are pregnant. I mean, I still love wandering around this land. I've yet to really try the food, which I guess is the negative for doing table service so often. You also have the Droid Depot where you can build a small droid for $100. This is pretty fun, and Savvy's Workshop where you can build a lightsaber. This one is pretty pricey at $220 a person, but if you don't mind spending the money, it's a pretty fun experience. I was with 2 people who don't care about Star Wars, and they had a lot of fun doing this, so it's really about what you feel okay to spend on. There's also characters you'll probably see wandering around. Chewbacca is the one you're going to probably see the most, but you'll also have the Mandalorian, Kylo Ren and some Stormtroopers. I believe Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett are still around, and newly there is Luke Skywalker. You can also meet Darth Vader, but it won't be here. It will actually be over in Tomorrowland at Star Wars Launch Bay. If you'd like a full video of where to meet characters, let me know, I can do that too. As for rides, like I said, they both have height requirements and have expectant mother advisories. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run has a height requirement of 38 inches or 97 centimeters. This is similar to Star Tours in that you're looking at a screen while the ride simulates flying the Millennium Falcon, so it does get very bumpy and jerks around. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance has a 40-inch height requirement or 102 centimeters. This is a fantastic ride, similar to Runaway Railway in that it's a trackless ride that utilizes screens and animatronics, just a bit more thrilling. I don't want to give away elements of the ride since some do not like to be spoiled with it, but it is so fun. So that's it for Disneyland. I've done my best to get every ride, but if I've missed anything, just let me know. 1 park down, 1 more to go. Disney California Adventure. Okay, for this park, most people will probably think differently than me, but this park feels like a cross with Hollywood Studios and Epcot in Disney World. As soon as you walk in and go down Buena Vista Street, to your left is Hollywoodland. That's pretty self-explanatory with Hollywood Studios. Epcot, on the other hand, it's silly, but this is the park where you're gonna see tons of drinking going on. Disneyland only has 3 places where you can get alcohol. 2 are accessible to everyone, the other one isn't. DCA, on the other hand, you can get alcohol practically everywhere. There are plenty of places where it's almost just alcohol that they serve. If you're looking to drink at the park, DCA is where you're going to want to be. I enjoy DCA, but many do consider this the worst park out of all Disney parks, so be aware of that. Most of the time when going to the park, you might see Disneyland having an outrageous line, while DCA has a very short one, but don't be fooled, it still gets very crowded. Starting with Buena Vista Street, there are no longer rides here. The red car trolley stopped running in February of this year. Instead, this is where all your shops are going to be, similar to Main Street USA in Disneyland. The red car trolley is still at the front of the park, so that way you can take pictures if you'd like. Hollywoodland. This land is actually going to be more about food and entertainment than rides, having only one ride in the land. Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue is towards the back, and this ride's wait can get really long. Even with Lightning Lane, there have been times that we have still waited a good 20 minutes or so before actually getting on the ride, but really that will depend on how busy the park is. This is one of only 2 slow dark rides in DCA, safe for expectant mothers and infants, having no height requirement that recalls scenes from the movie. Other than that ride, you'll have Mickey's PhilharMagic, a 12-minute 3D movie where you'll be able to sit in an air-conditioned theater, the Hollywood backstage lot where they will have the occasional live performance, and the Disney Animation Building where there will be different things to do inside, such as Animation Academy where you can take a roughly 20 to 25-minute art class, Sorcerer's Workshop that has some interactive elements, Turtle Talk with Crush, a 10 to 20-minute interactive live show with Crush from Finding Nemo, and Anna and Elsa's Royal Welcome, where you can meet Anna and Elsa. Honestly, I was so annoyed with that one, I almost wanted to complain, but I won't go into that unless people want that. There is also the Disney Junior Dance Party, but I do see news that it is closing down, so I'm not sure with that one. Avengers Campus. I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but the 2 rides here are pretty fun, one safe and one advised against with a height requirement. First is the safe ride with no height requirement, Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure. Now, I did this one with my baby in a carrier. I think he was sleeping at the time, so if he was awake, I probably would have done it without it. This is similar to Toy Story Mania at Pixar Pier, which we'll get to soon, in that it spins pretty fast and is a little jerky, but not difficult to hold a baby. Unlike the other shooting gallery rides, there is no device that you are using, you are just using your hands. If you're holding the baby, obviously you're going to be down an arm. Now, I beat everyone at Buzz and Toy Story, but this is the one that I had the lowest score. Then there is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. This is going to be the big drop ride. Minimum height requirement for this is 40 inches or 102 centimeters. Obviously, if you're pregnant, it's advised against. Controversial opinion, but I like this better than Tower of Terror. If your child meets the height requirement, it's really what you think your child can tolerate. I was pregnant and couldn't ride, but my husband went on with his niece who just turned 4. After the ride, she was of course terrified, but you know what? That little girl got back on the ride the next day. We have a fantastic picture of her since they sat in the front the first time. I wish I could show you, but this is not my child, nor am I putting her face out there. This does have ride switch options, but just know that there are 2 different queue lines once you get in. They don't use both when it's slower, but one does go up the stairs while the other doesn't. If you have issues going up steps, just ask them when you get to the part where they are separating to go on the side with no stairs. Cars Land. I will die on the hill that this is the best designed and themed land. I don't care if you don't like the Cars movie, this land was fantastically done. It truly is out of the movie. Every third blink of the light is slower. At sunset, they do the neon lights to the song Shaboom. It is just all so great. You will also see characters every now and then. Lightning McQueen shows up, Mater, Cruz Ramirez, and Red is sometimes out there too. As for rides, 3 rides in the land, 2 of which are safe for expectant mothers, but none of these rides are ones that infants can go on. All 3 of them have height requirements. The one that is out for both is Radiator Springs Racers. This ride is on a car track that drives through Radiator Springs, and at the end you do a small little race. Super fun ride, but is advised against for those who are pregnant and has a height requirement of 40 inches or 102 centimeters. Okay, this title's a little bit more difficult. Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. Got it. Okay, for expectant mothers, it's fine, but has a height requirement of 32 inches or 81 centimeters. The cars here dance and spin. If it rains or even looks like it's gonna rain, this ride is shut down with all the cars covered, so be aware if you're going on a wet day and want to ride this ride. Last is Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, my favorite ride in this land. I love it. It's okay for expectant mothers, but it does have a height requirement of 32 inches or 81 centimeters. As much as I love this ride, I personally would not wait for it if the line is longer than 15 minutes. The ride is fun, but it is short, so try to knock it out early. San Francisco Square. There's no ride in this land. San Francisco is all about the food. This is where you're gonna have lots of food options. As far as I can remember, there is only one merch shop here, and it is in front of where you can meet Baymax. If it's sunny, it's gonna be a painful hot wait, but his line does move fairly quickly. You also do have the baby care center here, which I do talk about in the other video. Pixar Pier and Paradise Garden Park. So it is a little confusing where Pixar Pier ends and Paradise Garden Park begins, so I'm just going to combine them together, starting at the front of the pier and ending over at Little Mermaid. Many of the rides here will be good to ride pregnant or with an infant. The pier also has 4 carnival-style booths for $5 a person for each booth. La Luna Starcatcher is every player is a winner. Heimlich's Candy Corn Toss is not competitive, but you have to score to win a prize. And lastly, Wall-E Space Race and Bullseye Stallion Stampede are both competitive, where the winner gets a prize. As for rides, the first one you'll see walking down the pier is the Incredicoaster. I no longer enjoy roller coasters, but this is one that is pretty fun and is not as bad as you'd think it'd be. The worst part of it for me is the launch, and that's only if you're sitting in the front. If you're sitting anywhere else other than the front, which you can ask to sit at the front, but it will be a little wait, it's a pretty tame ride. Even so, it's of course recommended against riding pregnant and has the highest height requirement of 48 inches or 102 centimeters. It does offer the option of ride switch and has a single rider line as well. Right in between the Incredicoaster is Jessie's Critter Carousel, no height requirement and safe for expectant mothers. This ride usually has a very short wait. Even on the busiest days, I will see it at 5 to 10 minutes, and I think that's because it's a very short ride at 2 minutes long. Right behind this ride are the bathrooms. I think these bathrooms are tied for the ones next to Web Slingers for the worst bathrooms. Honestly, maybe I should do a video on bathrooms because I have some opinions on those. Right next door is Toy Story Midway Mania, another shooting gallery ride with no height requirement and safe for expectant mothers. Similar to Web Slingers, it moves around pretty fast, spins a little to position you in front of the screens, and can be jerky. I did ride this while holding my son, and when we were finished, I saw another mom behind us holding her child as well. The line for this ride gets crazy long, and the lightning lanes go pretty fast, so be aware if you're wanting to ride this. Moving right along the pier, we get to the ride that I will no longer ride. I will not get on this ride, and that is Pixar Pal Around Ferris Wheel, also known as Mickey's Wheel of Death. You do have the option of either swinging or non-swinging. I will not ride either. But if I had to do it again, I would probably pick the swinging as it doesn't go as high. Now, I'm not afraid of heights. Heights is not the issue for me with this one, but we rode the non-swinging one during a storm and it was so terrifying. I cannot bring myself to get back on. That being said, no height requirement and is safe if you're pregnant. Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind. Any height, okay if you're pregnant. I will say I normally do not get dizzy with these types of rides, but when I rode this pregnant, it did make me get very dizzy and nauseous with the spinning. That is not normal for me, so that was due to pregnancy, so be aware. I'll knock out these next 3 pretty fast. They are fairly short rides right next to each other, and usually the wait times are not too bad throughout the day. Silly Symphony Swings, safe to ride while pregnant, but has a 40-inch height requirement and a 48-inch height requirement or 122 centimeters to ride alone. It does have double seats so that way you can ride with your small child. Jumpin' Jellyfish, again safe to ride while pregnant, but has a 40-inch height requirement. It's a slow drop ride. It goes up and slowly comes back down. Golden Zephyr, this one out of the 3 has no height requirement while also being okay for expectant mothers. It's a pretty simple ride. You're in a rocket ship that spins fairly slowly but does get some good airtime. Then we have Goofy's Sky School. This, of course, is not safe for expectant mothers and has a height requirement of 42 inches or 107 centimeters. Most people you ask will say this is one of the scariest rides for them. It is designed in a way that takes quick turns to make you feel like you're going to fall out of the cart. Towards the end of it, it does have a fairly intense drop. I will say I was always super nervous to ride this one, but then I had a small child ride with me. He went through the single rider line and he was telling me his mom is too afraid to ride this ride and that it's his favorite. And hearing him talk about it and then going down this deep drop, and all that comes out of his mouth is this small wee. I can't be afraid of this anymore. Last in this area is the Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure. This is the other slow dark ride in DCA. This recounts the story of the Little Mermaid told to you by the seagull Scuttle. In the morning and at night, the line for this ride is very short. Depending how busy the park is, it can be a long wait during the day. Grizzly Peak. When you walk into DCA and go down Buena Vista Street, to the right is Grizzly Peak, where you'll also be able to see a bear-shaped mountain peak. Sure, I think Cars Land is the best, but this one is a very close second. It's kind of funny that I think that because it really just reminds me of where I live. Outside of the two rides in this land, there is also a walking trail called Redwood Creek Challenge Trail with a play area for all heights. This play area is closed down a lot though, I will say. Now, there really isn't a lot to do in this land. At night, it does become a nice quiet area with very little people, but you'll still most likely hear the screams from this first ride. Grizzly River Run. This ride is a raft adventure ride with a height requirement of 42 inches or 107 centimeters and is advised against for those who are pregnant. You're gonna get wet on this one. There are also areas where those watching can spray you with water, so you are gonna get wet. If it's a hot day, the line for this is going to be very long. Otherwise, especially in the morning or at night, the line will be about 5 to 10 minutes. Last and certainly not least, because I love this ride, Soarin'. Safe for those who are pregnant, but has a height requirement of 40 inches or 102 centimeters. Unfortunately for me, it's going to be a while before I get to ride this again because of the baby, and I'm not willing to ride it alone, but it's one that I used to knock out early. Most of the time, it's the first ride at the park while putting in a Lightning Lane reservation for something else. I had a cute experience on this ride listening to somebody ride it for the first time. It's a very nice and calm ride, so I absolutely would recommend it. Anyway, that's it for this video. This has been way too long. I never want to make a video this long again, but there's just so much information to give on this topic. I truly hope that I covered all the rides. I did my best, even using the map as well, to make sure that I get them all. If you have any questions on anything Disneyland, feel free to ask. I will probably do a few more videos about the park. For sure gonna do one on character dining, but if there is something in particular, just ask and I will try to get to it. Now, do the things if you feel like it, like, comment, subscribe, or not. Check the description for links to this model and the images used in this video. Okay, bye.